Fishing is often a serene escape, a chance to connect with nature and find peace by the water. However, beneath the calm surface, there can lurk unsettling and eerie experiences that turn a simple fishing trip into a haunting mystery. Some of these stories remain unexplained, leaving those who live them searching for answers. Today, I'm going to tell you 3 true fishing horror stories that still haunt me to this day. These are not just strange occurrences. They are chilling encounters that will make you think twice before venturing out alone to fish in the dark. 1. The Whispering Wilderness. I've always loved fishing. It's been my escape, my way of unwinding from the stress of everyday life. So when my friends and I decided to go night fishing deep in the Appalachian wilderness, I didn't think twice about it. The area was remote, miles away from civilization, with nothing but the sound of crickets and the occasional splash of a fish breaking the surface. It was perfect, or at least that's what I thought at the time. We had set up our rods, cracked open some beers, and were sitting around talking when a meteor shower lit up the sky. It was breathtaking, like something out of a dream. I got this sudden urge to wander down the riverbank a little, to take it all in alone. I grabbed my flashlight and told my friends I'd be back in a few minutes. As I walked, the dense forest seemed to swallow me whole. The further I got from my friends, the quieter it became. Too quiet. I could hear my own heartbeat, my own breathing. And then, just as I was about to turn around, I heard it. A whisper. My name. I froze. My breath hitched in my throat. I spun around, shining my flashlight in every direction. There was no one, just trees swaying in the wind. I told myself it had to be my imagination, the wind playing tricks on me. But then it came again, closer this time. Jake. It wasn't a yell or a shout. It was a hushed, breathy whisper, like someone was standing right behind me. I whipped my head around so fast I almost lost my balance, but no one was there. My skin was crawling, every hair on my arm standing on end. My gut told me to run, but I forced myself to stand still and listen. A twig snapped to my left. I turned my flashlight toward the sound and saw nothing. At first. Then, movement. A shadow shifting between the trees, too fast to be human. My heart was hammering in my chest as I took a slow step backward. That's when I heard the whisper again, right in my ear. Go back. I ran. I didn't look back, didn't stop until I was back at the fire, panting and drenched in sweat. My friends looked at me like I was crazy, but I didn't care. I just wanted to leave. We packed up and left that night. I tried to convince myself it was just my imagination. But then, a few weeks later, I woke up in the middle of the night to the same whisper. Jake. And I wasn't alone.
The Vanishing Fisherman. I've been fishing alone for years. Something about the solitude always appealed to me. So when I planned a weekend trip to a secluded lake in Alaska, I was excited. It was a place few people went, a place untouched by noise and distraction. I wanted to clear my mind, catch some fish, and just exist. The first day was perfect. The water was still, the air crisp. I set up my tent near the shore, cooked up some trout, and wrote in my journal before turning in. I remember writing something about how peaceful it was, how I could stay there forever. That night, something woke me up. At first, I thought it was just the wind rustling the trees, but then I heard it. Footsteps, heavy, deliberate. They circled my tent once, twice, then stopped. I held my breath, gripping my knife, but after a few moments of silence, I convinced myself it was an animal and forced myself back to sleep. The next morning, I noticed something strange. Large, deep footprints led from my tent to the edge of the water. But they weren't normal footprints. They were long, narrow, unlike anything I'd ever seen. I felt a chill crawl up my spine. Something wasn't right. That night, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. I kept my lantern on, sitting inside my tent with my knife close. Around midnight, I heard it again, the footsteps. But this time, they didn't stop at my tent. They went into the water. I unzipped my tent slowly and peeked outside. The moon cast a pale light over the lake, and I saw something. A dark shape, half submerged, moving silently through the water. It wasn't a bear. It wasn't a man. It was something else. I don't remember much after that. Just the sheer terror of scrambling into my boat and rowing as fast as I could. I left everything behind, my tent, my gear, my journal. The next day, a ranger found my boat drifting on the lake. They never found me, because I never went back. The unidentified lights. It was supposed to be a normal fishing trip. Just me and 4 friends, camping by a remote lake in Canada, away from the chaos of the city. The kind of place where the stars shine so brightly you feel like you're floating in space. We had just set up camp when we saw the first light. It hovered just above the tree line, pulsating, shifting colors. We thought it was a plane at first, but then it started moving, zigzagging in ways no plane ever could. Then, without warning, it shot down toward the lake. The water lit up with a strange green glow, and suddenly the fish started going crazy. They thrashed, leaped out of the water like they were trying to escape something. We just stood there, frozen, watching this impossible display. One of my friends, Mike, grabbed his camera and tried to take a picture, but as soon as he did, the light vanished. Just gone, like it had never been there. We didn't sleep that night, and in the morning we found something even more disturbing. 3 of our fishing poles had disappeared. Our tackle boxes were open, their contents scattered. And then we saw the footprints. Not human, not animal, just wrong. Mike never spoke about that night again. But weeks later, he started having night terrors. He'd wake up screaming, clutching his arm, claiming he could feel something grabbing him. When he showed us, we saw it. Thin, circular marks burned into his skin, like someone had pressed a red-hot ring against him. He still has those scars. And to this day, we don't know what happened that night. We only know one thing. We were not alone. These stories highlight the unpredictable and sometimes eerie nature of fishing. While the sport offers moments of peace and connection with nature, it's essential to remain vigilant and aware of your surroundings. The next time you find yourself by the water's edge, remember these tales and be mindful of the mysteries that may lurk in the depths or the shadows around you. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe for more chilling true horror stories.